I'm joined from Tel Aviv by Iranian-born writer and analyst Meir Javedanfar, an analyst for the Middle East economic and political analysis company MIPAS. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. May I begin by asking you about this, about just how far along the road to nuclear weapons this puts Iran. There's been an awful lot of fuss about this, and yet essentially what's been built is a power plant and nothing more. Is that right?
Correct. The Bushehr nuclear plant does not help Iran's nuclear program. It's not related to the military section of Iran's nuclear program at all. It will make no contribution towards the building of a bomb, because every drop of nuclear fuel that will come from Russia will be counted by the United Nations, IAEA, and every nuclear fuel waste will be counted out. So it will be almost impossible for the Iranians to use the Bushehr power plant to make weapons. The only thing that worries Israel and the international community is if the Iranians start building underneath the nuclear plant in Bushehr some kind of a secret enrichment facility or a weaponization facility, knowing that an attack against this plant will be very dangerous by the West because it could lead to an ecological disaster.
And is there any likelihood of that? I mean, America's reaction has been fairly vociferous about this, but I mean, is there anything to say that they are actually going to dig a nuclear weapons plant underneath the plant?
We don't have any evidence to support that that is happening right now. However, if the Iranians try to do that, then it would be difficult to hit that plant, right, because everybody knows that if you hit Bushehr, it will create a massive ecological disaster in the Persian Gulf. And I have to point out here, it won't be easy for the Iranians to do that, because the world's satellites are all trained on the Bushehr power plant. So if they start making huge holes underneath it, all the extraction equipment will be noted. So this is not something that will be that easy to do by Tehran. So
what do you make of America's reaction then?
I actually think the Americans are more concerned about Russia here, because for years the Russians have been foot dragging. This Bushehr plant is being completed after a 10-year delay. The Russians were using their influence there in order to make sure that Iran doesn't cross the line, that Iran stays at least within the UN sanctions and what the UN demands from it. And now all of a sudden, after the imposition of the toughest sanctions, the Russians seem to have basically left the Western camp and decided to suddenly complete it. So I think the diplomatic repercussions of Russia's decisions are worrying the Americans much more than what Bushehr could do in Iran's path to make a nuclear bomb.
And just briefly, if I could ask you, Iran hasn't done its best, has it, to avert international reaction, has it?
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, the Iranian leadership right now is more interested in a conflict with the international community, because any rapprochement could strengthen the reformist camp within Iran who wants better relations with the West.
OK, Mr. Javedanfar, thank you very much indeed for joining us.